Hi, this is Stephen Rothberg with College Recruiter. At College Recruiter, we believe that every student and recent graduate deserves a great career. That includes diverse candidates, whether they're diverse because of their race, gender, veteran status, they're people with disabilities, socioeconomic background, where they live. There are any number of factors. Essentially, if you're an employer and you don't have an adequate representation that reflects the community in which you live in for certain groups of people, then you have a diversity problem. If you have a school and it's an elementary school and all of your teachers are female, then you have a diversity problem because you don't have enough men. Conversely, if you have a high school and all of your teachers are male, you have a diversity problem because all of your teachers are male. So it's not just about male, female, or certain percentages. It depends upon the occupational field and it depends upon the community. In today's presentation, I'm going to talk about 12 ways that employers can increase the number of diverse students that they hire from colleges and universities. The agenda for today, first of all, I'll talk for a moment about what College Recruiter is. It'll provide a little bit of context to you. Also, why should we care about diversity? And then I'll get into the 12 tips. So first, College Recruiter, as I was saying a moment ago, believes that every student and recent graduate deserves a great career. That includes students and recent grads who are diverse for one reason or another. Over 2.5 million students and recent grads use our site a year to help them find part-time, seasonal, internship, and entry-level jobs. And for us, an entry-level job is any job that requires 0 to 3 years of experience. Our customers are primarily Fortune 1000 companies, government agencies, and other employers who hire at scale. So, why do we care about diversity? Well, diversity, as I was saying, goes beyond skin color. Some people think of diversity as increasing the number of blacks who are employed by their companies. And that can be part of it. It can also be part of it that we were increasing the number of people who have a disability of one type or another. Female, male, transgender, just about any kind of a characteristic that you can think of is a characteristic that employers, especially those who are sort of heavily tilted towards, say, all white men or all white women, depending upon the occupation, have a diversity problem. The reason that it matters to employers, or reasons really, one is at College Recruiter, we believe it's the right thing to do to provide opportunities to every student and recent grad. And then beyond our niche, our entry-level sort of college-educated niche, we believe that applies across the board to people of all different levels of experience, age, occupational fields, etc. But beyond that, even if your employer feels that it doesn't really matter what the right thing to do for society is, that they have to convince the CEO or the shareholders or whatever, it's the right thing to do for your business. Study after study show that the more diverse a workforce is, the more productive that workforce is. And it kind of stands to reason, because when you have multiple people on your team who have different backgrounds, different experiences, they'll approach a problem differently. And that different approach to a problem will help you identify opportunities, problems, solutions, etc. You'll be able to figure out ways around a roadblock. Rather than looking at a problem like it's a brick wall, you'll look like it's a traffic cone or pylon. It's a problem that you can get around with a little bit of effort, maybe some good fortune. And the more diversity of thought that you have on your team, the more likely it is that you'll be able to figure out a way around that problem, that you'll be able to figure out that there is an opportunity to take advantage of, and then how to take advantage of that opportunity. So, on to the 12 tips. Number 1, in your job posting ad that you post, whether it's on College Recruiter, on your career site, on some other job board, make sure that you're explicit, that you are welcoming to candidates that are who are diverse. Even better, spell out the diversity that you're looking for. It doesn't mean that you are excluding candidates from that are not diverse, Those candidates, we don't have to try as hard to get them to be in our applicant pool. But what is difficult for most organizations is to have an adequate representation of diverse candidates in their applicant pool. And the more explicitly welcoming you are to them, the more likely it is that they'll feel comfortable applying. Step number 2, niche job boards. There are some job boards that target specifically candidates who are Black or women or mothers or people with disabilities. Some job boards like College Recruiter don't explicitly target diverse candidates, but we do have products like our targeted email product that allow us to deliver an email to candidates who are females in their junior years in a 4-year college in finance, economics, or accounting, who have a 3.5 or above GPA and are Black, Latinx, Native American, veteran, or person with disabilities. So whether it's College Recruiter or some other sourcing tool, use the tools that allow you to do outreach specifically to members of the diverse communities that you're trying to better include in your hiring process. Number 3, use your existing diverse employees. Hopefully you have some. So if you've got some veterans on staff and you want more veterans, go to those veterans, tell them that you'd like to increase the number of veterans on staff, and ask them for help. They likely know other veterans who are looking, or they know of people who know other veterans who are looking. And ask them to share your job posting, ask them to put out a good word for you. Number 4, internships. This is a sweet spot for us because a lot of the people who are using our site are students who are looking for internships. By far from exclusive, we have about an equal number of recent grads who are looking for entry-level positions. But internships have become incredibly popular by the large employers in the country. These large employers hire most college students. So if you're a student and you graduate without an internship, the likelihood of you finding that good entry-level job goes down dramatically. Conversely, or on the other side of the table, if you're an employer and you hire interns who are not diverse, it makes it much less likely that you're going to have a diverse entry-level candidate pool, because probably you're converting most of your interns into entry-level hires. So if your interns are not diverse, neither will be your entry-level hires. Number 5, look at your employer brand. Now, we see employers basically lying all the time, pretending that they're family friendly, that they have flexible working hours, that they value diversity, and when you really take a look at it, they're anything but. So it needs to be authentic. Don't just talk the talk, walk the walk. If there are areas within your organization where your diversity hiring, recruiting, or retention practices could improve those. Then start marketing your opportunities to diverse candidates. So kind of clean up your house before you invite the company over. If you've got pretty good diversity recruitment and retention practices, then leverage those. Promote those in your ads. Talk about them. Number 6, you definitely want to implement policies that appeal to candidates who are diverse. So if you're an organization that is heavily male and you are trying to recruit more women into the workforce, and let's say a lot of those women are of childbearing age, they're in their 20s, 30s, maybe 40s. Do you have a facility where they can breastfeed or pump? So if you don't, that would be the kind of thing to look for. If your organization from top to bottom is basically Christian, and so you're trying to diversify by bringing in people of other faiths, let's say including Muslims, do you have a place where Muslims can go to pray and to do so in a manner in which they're comfortable? Talk to the Muslims who work for you or who you would want to work for you. Find out what it is that they would like to see and accommodate them, and and implement that. And like I was saying with the previous step, promote that. When you get a resume, screen out all of the personal information. So get rid of years of graduation from schools. Get rid of the year when they took their first job out of school. Definitely anonymize their name. Don't have their first name or last name. Get rid of their street address. Get rid of their zip code, because recruiters and hiring managers who see that, some of them are going to use that in a manner that consciously they're going to be biased against certain kinds of candidates. Some of them just unconsciously. But either way, you don't want that. You don't want people to look at a last name and say it's foreign, and therefore we're not going to be interested in that person. You don't want somebody who's hiring an engineer to see that the person's first name is, Catherine, and therefore very likely to be female, and for that person to be consciously or unconsciously biased against her simply because she's female. If you get rid of the name, you get rid of the street address, that kind of removes the neighborhood in which they live in. You get rid of the zip code, same kind of thing, the years. You're eliminating a lot of opportunities for bias. Number 8, when you're interviewing candidates, also anonymize as far into the hiring process as you can their voice, their appearance. So if you interview them by email, by chat, by text, by some kind of text, then it's much less likely that you're going to know whether you're communicating with someone who is male, female, young, old, etc. And that will also help to remove both the conscious and unconscious bias in your hiring process. Now, again, you're not going to be able to take them all the way to the point of hire without knowing if they're male or 58 years old or, have an accent or whatever. But the further along you can get them in the process, the more likely it is that you'll end up hiring them. Number 9, use technology when possible to analyze their skills. So when we're hiring somebody, we put them through a skills assessment process. In fact, what we just started to do is put all applicants for that position through it, whether we think they're well qualified or not. And one of the reasons why we put candidates who we initially think might not be well qualified through that process is that a lot of the qualifications that we might come up with, that you might come up with, might sound reasonable on paper. It might be the way you've always hired someone. Maybe you've always hired salespeople with 4-year college degrees, and you just think that they need to, because if they don't have a 4-year college degree, they're unlikely to be bright, ambitious, whatever. The problem with those criteria, whether they're requirements or preferences, is that they tend to discriminate against diverse candidates. Not as many candidates from certain socioeconomic groups, races, etc., go to college. So if you unnecessarily require a college degree, then you're going to be discriminating against diverse candidates. It isn't the having a college degree is unlikely to actually make you qualified for a sales position. If you're using criteria like that, you're probably using it as a proxy. If they have a college degree, then it means that they're probably well qualified. You're better off just assessing them. Have them take a test to see if they can demonstrate that they have the ability to do the work. There are loads of great scientifically validated assessments out there now for almost any occupational field. It's not like it was 20 years ago. There's been light year improvements in just the last 5 years. Rethink your preferences and qualifications. Again, using the sales example, I still see a lot of organizations requiring a 4-year college degree for a sales position. There's just almost never a justification for that. Do they really need 3 to 5 years of experience in certain technology in order to be a developer for you? Or do you just think, well, if they have at least 3 years of experience, they're likely to be good at that? Well, what about the candidates who only have 2? If the candidate has 2, but they can demonstrate to you that they have good qualifications, that they can do the coding project that you test them with, then you'd probably be quite interested in them. And also, hiring a candidate with 2 years of experience is going to be easier and cheaper than hiring somebody that has 3, 4, 5 years of experience. So it creates a win-win. Number 11, almost all applicant tracking systems, and all of the major ones now, have screening and selection tools built right in. And use those. Use those as a way of both including candidates in your hiring pool as well as excluding candidates from your hiring pool. You can set up very easily in a lot of the ATS little mini questionnaires, or sometimes they're really full-blown assessments. Stack all these boxes over here if you're hiring for warehouse people. So use the tools at your disposal to put people through objective assessments, meaning that it doesn't matter if they're male, female, black, white, veteran, disabled, whatever. Have them go through a scientifically validated assessment to see if they can do the work. And if they can do the work, it doesn't matter how many years of experience they have, or what their educational background is, or what zip code they happen to live in. What matters is that they've proven to you that they can do the work. If that still makes you feel, well, I don't know if they can really do the work, then the problem isn't with the idea of using an assessment. The problem is with the assessment itself, and it just needs to be refined, improved. Finally, one of the things that really surprised me was the number of employers who are working really hard to get diverse candidates into the applicant pool. But when the HR or talent acquisition team then presents the slate of finalists to the hiring manager, they will typically only have one diverse candidate in that group. If the employer is looking to hire one person and the hiring manager gets 5 finalists, often HR will only put one diverse candidate into that group of 5. And so it almost becomes like Sesame Street, like one of these things doesn't look like the other. People are hardwired to take the safe path, to not take unnecessary risks. If you present a hiring manager with 5 engineering candidates and 4 of them are male and 1 of them is female, the hiring manager, perhaps consciously, almost certainly unconsciously, is going to discriminate against that woman because she doesn't look like the others. And therefore there's something odd, there's something wrong with her. She could quite possibly be the best qualified of all of them, but because she's sort of the odd one, then it's less likely that she'll be hired. Now, if you present that same hiring manager with 5 or even 6 resumes, and there are 2 or 3 women in that group, now they're not alone, and now that hiring manager is going to be much less likely to exclude that candidate simply because they were the only one, the only woman, the only person who was Native American, whatever. So work really hard to have multiple diverse candidates in that group of finalists that you present to the hiring manager. That concludes the 12 tips. I hope you liked it. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and if you liked the video, if you think that one or more of these tips was of help, also hit the thumbs up icon. This is Steven Rothberg. You can contact me at Steven, Steven, at collegerecruiter.com, or phone 952-217-0793. Thank you very much.